Got a pair of game twos, first in New York and then in San Antonio, where the Timberwolves beat the Spurs in the opener. It's NBA Tip-Off. It's presented by AT&T from Studio J here in Atlanta. Ernie Johnson, Charles Barkley, Kenny the Jet Smith, and this is not Shaquille O'Neal. This is Draymond Green. Always good to see you.
It's great to see you as well. I appreciate y'all having me.
No, certainly.
Welcome, brother. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Ernie?
Yes.
Let him speak first so we don't hold him back. We got to make sure he gets to be the player he is, and let him get all best out of his ability here. We don't do that around here. We get the best out of our players here.
Yeah, exactly. We've got plenty of hoops to talk about as the night goes on. We are here for an hour, and we'll get to all that in just a second. But while you're watching the show on ESPN, the way we all watch sports in general can be traced in part to the influence of Ted Turner. He passed away today at the age of 87. And here in Atlanta, his name is revered by all of us who have had the chance to work for him. As you walk across the broadcast campus on our way to the studios, you will pass a large and colorful mural of Ted. It adorns the mansion, the original building that housed TBS and later CNN. Large and colorful, also great words to describe the life of Ted Turner. You might also use maverick and visionary. For those of us who work at TNT Sports, and that first T stands for Turner, his vision, his legacy of big swings and bold ideas, it's a little more personal. Ted was an architect of impact across the globe, broadcasting, journalism, philanthropy, and sports.
Behind me, you can see our new cable news network headquarters. 90,000 square feet of the future.
When the Superstation came along, no matter where you went, you had people visiting from whatever state, and they'd flag my dad down. Hey, we watch the games all the time in Idaho.
We'd go on the road, and we'd have more Braves fans there than Houston Astro fans or St. Louis Cardinal fans. It was a thrill.
And that's all because Ted had this crazy idea, which is something that was always said. Ted had this crazy idea but it always happened, and it always flourished.
Well, we have more fans than we thought we had. Everywhere you go, people say, we watched you on PBS last night. So we built a really big fan base around the country.
Ted was way ahead of the curve in terms of basketball and importing basketball players and his relationships with the Soviet Union.
He's been a peacemaker through sports.
This will be kind of a blueprint for how we can go about ending the arms race. That's certainly my dream.
Is there a reason we can't break down this wall between the U.S. and the Soviet Union? How about using sports to do that? And the Goodwill Games did that.
I think that broke a lot of ice and was a factor in ending the Cold War.
We gotta go fast as we can here.
Well, after the America's Cup, we finally won. Big hoopla, 1,000 boats coming in, thousands of people on the shoreline.
It's all over, baby!
And Ted turns to me in the middle of this melee and says, hey, Johnson, wasn't that fun? Then he said, this will change our lives because we have proven to people that if we can do this, we can do many other things. 3 years later, he founded CNN.
We sign on June 1, and barring satellite problems in the future, we won't be signing off until the world ends. We'll be on, we will cover it live.
I think it's fair to say that Ted Turner literally changed the world when he came up with his concept of a 24/7 cable news channel.
You can do so much more in 24 hours than you can in 24 minutes.
I think Ted Turner is the greatest media individual of the second half of the 20th century.
Ted is very much an inspiration for all of us in sports, that we really can do more than we have done.
He told me that he was planning to give $1 billion to the United Nations.
So everybody that's rich in the world, expect a call or a letter from me because I'm coming after you to get money for the UN.
He put his money where his mouth is, and he's always had a big mouth.
He was more than a visionary. He was a visionary with a scalpel and a hammer.
He'll speak the truth, and the truth will make you mad. It might also set you free, though, in the process.
He was one of one, that's for sure. And you hear visionary. He was a pioneer. He was a trailblazer. He was an underdog, and he put his mind to something, and by golly, he made it happen.
I never had the honor of meeting him, but I understand the impact that he has on my life. You know, when you think about the NBA and the lives that we're afforded to live due to the NBA, it's in large part due to what he created. You heard Dominique say him starting a network where we're on every day, you know, and how it built the fan base. Well, that's League Pass, right? Like, you know, you talk 24/7 news. Now it's 24/7 sports, you know, and so due to all of that, we're afforded the lives we live, so I'm very grateful for his existence and all that he brought to this world.
Yeah, he wanted CNN because he wanted people to be in the know, because he'd come home and the news would be over and be like, well, I missed the news, but he wanted a 24-hour outlet for it.
Yeah, you know, and Ernie and I have been here longer, you know, it wasn't strange to see him pop up and come through what was going on. I played in the Goodwill games and won a gold medal. He was there eating breakfast with the team. And I covered the Goodwill games here at Turner. He was there. I'd eat breakfast at the time with him as well. You'd see him downstairs with his wife at the time. They would be sitting and eating breakfast. Like, Kenny, come join us. And it was a very big town mentality with a small town feel. And that's what he made this culture of what TNT was and kind of what it is today.
No, it's a great point you make, because everybody who's worked in this business who has spent some time here has said there's something different about Turner. And that was all because of Ted's influence and the way he approached it. He was not, you know, he didn't drive a fancy car. You'd see him outside after a Braves game, just in a regular car like everybody else, sitting in traffic like everybody else. But he was a dreamer and a guy who I think looked at all of these as challenges and a risk taker. When somebody said, "No, you can't do that. That won't work," and he said, "Watch me."
Well, I think it would be an honest statement to say he lived the full life.
Yeah,
he lived the full life. You know, the whole 24/7 now, everybody assumes it's 24/7. It's like all these young kids think there's always been ESPN. I'm like, no, there's not always been an ESPN. But the entire 24/7 world news he started that. But man, you're talking about a tremendous life. You talk about the America's Cup, owning a professional franchise. I've only met him. I only got to meet him one time in my life. The Hawks were thinking about drafting me. And I came down for my interview, and they said, "Hey, Ted Turner wants to say hello to you." And I said, I've only been intimidated twice in my life. Ted Turner and Bear Bryant. When I took my visit to Alabama, I got to meet Bear. I couldn't even breathe. When I met Ted, I couldn't breathe, and he says, "What do you think about the Atlanta Hawks?" I said, "Well, you know, I'm from Alabama, blah, blah, blah." He said, "Well, we're thinking about moving up, drafting you." I said, "Please don't draft me. It's too close to my family and friends. They bugged me to death, and I wouldn't be able to be great at basketball." He says, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I want to be great at basketball. But if you have people, your family and friends around you all the time, it'll be a distraction." He says, "Okay, we won't," because they had to move up at that time. And he was so awesome to be around. And I only hear stories from people who've been here a long time, what a normal person he was. But man, you talk about lived a full, amazing, great life. He lived it.
Yeah. The David Levy, who used to be
our boss,
and at one point was the lead guy in sales, worked very closely with Ted. And I talked to David today, and he told me the story, because the Goodwill games were really important to him. I mean, this was like he was a man of peace, and he thought the Goodwill games could lead that way. And David, as a sales guy, says, "Ted, we're going to lose like $15-16 million on this." And according to David, Ted looked at him and said, "You think that's a lot of money? We're trying to save the world, man." That was Ted Turner. Yeah. He will be sorely missed. And all of us here, there's a very melancholy feel to the whole building today. Adam Silver, of course, of the NBA, is well aware of the impact that Ted had, and he said he was a true pioneer whose vision transformed modern media. Through the creation and development of Turner Broadcasting, Ted changed the way fans experience live sports and brought leagues like the NBA to a broader national and global audience. He was a passionate steward of our game for decades, both as a longtime owner of the Atlanta Hawks and a devoted partner who played an integral role in advancing the league's growth. On behalf of the NBA, I send my deepest condolences to Ted's family and friends. And one other quickie. This guy liked to win, okay? No matter what he did, whether that's America's Cup and he's sailing. Back when he bought the Braves, and the Braves were struggling, and they needed fans in the stands, so they had a bunch of gimmicks before games. One of those was to roll a baseball down the third base line to home plate with your nose. Okay, so Tug McGraw is going to do that for the Phillies who were in town. None of the Braves wanted to do it. Bob Hope is their legendary PR guy. He calls Ted upstairs. Ted's having dinner with Jesse Jackson. He finishes dinner, comes down, puts his uniform on, and rolls the ball against Tug McGraw and scrapes his nose up in the process and wins the race. That's Ted Turner, a legend.